half of Americans don't have enough money to retire. Oh boy, this guy on YouTube posted a video the other day saying this, and I about laughed at my soup. I don't eat soup, but I just said, dude, come on. Anytime I hear these stuff, I always say, according to whom? Who says this? Well, Josh, it's the National Retirement Risk Index over at Boston College. Oh, okay, that's what you're going on. Well, also my own observations, Josh. My own observations. Because you work with a lot of people who can't afford to retire. Yeah, okay. So that's my whole premise. When I was talking about what changed me financially was that same guy 20 odd years ago, 2005, when Ty Bernicki had written his just seminal article in the Journal for Financial Planning, which used to be fantastic before they went woke. It's just like everything else. Everything goes woke, and you can't come back from that. Once you go woke, I got nothing for you, man. And I relinquished my FPA membership in the JFP. Could go pound sand. Yeah, I'm in the mood today, man. Don't know why. I actually had a good night's sleep. But anyway, and so Ty Bernicki said, my anecdotal observations, what I see with my own eyes, most of my elderly retirees aren't spending anywhere near the kind of money they got coming in. So he said, I wonder if I can see if that's something empirical, if we have empirical evidence to validate what I'm seeing in my own eyes. So I'm taking my own anecdotal evidence, and I'm going to research it to see if it's empirical evidence. Hey, puppy, what's up, big boy? And that's when he went to the BLS numbers, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and lo and behold, his anecdotal evidence is part of a trend. Empirically, it can be observed and witnessed and studied that as people age, well, I know you're a big old mean dog. I know you don't like those YouTubers telling people they can't retire. As people age, they spend less. Shocking. So Jonathan Clements, who apparently is not long for this world, RIP to your brother, a good guy in the overall scheme of things, but he had written a takedown on Bernicki back in 2005 in the Wall Street Journal saying, the reason these people spend less is because they run out of money. Well, that's a great theory, or it's a hypothesis, whatever it is, but there's no evidence of that. None. I mean, at least using the BLS numbers, Survey of Consumer Finances, University of Michigan, HRS, the evidence that Clements was using to invalidate Bernicki's empirical and anecdotal evidence just was not there. He was just pulling that out of his butt. And a lot of people went along with that until more and more evidence came out and more researchers say, no, they never cited Bernicki. In fact, he's a pretty prominent researcher. I was stunned who didn't know who Bernicki was. I was like, dude, how do you, because he, along the way, started finding the same thing. And I talked to him, I said, yeah, man, Ty Bernicki found this in 2005. And there's work from other researchers in 1999. Never mind Susan Rawweather, and I forgot the other guy's name. But there's another guy, Susan Rawweather, and I just can't remember, who's been writing about this for decades. And this pretty well-known retirement researcher, he's a good guy. He didn't know these people. I was like, oh, man, how do you not know the legends? You're standing on the shoulders of these legends, at least for me. And then we have Larry Kotlikoff and Scott Burns writing a book about consumption smoothing back in 2008, which was just fantastic because it, again, validates what we're talking about here. That your money in retirement is different than your money pre-retirement. So to base off a scenario that hey, you're a gorgeous dog. Oh, hi, pretty. Oh, what a gorgeous yellow lab or something. Yeah, I think it is yellow lab. Gorgeous. To base off retirement success off pre-retirement savings and income, pardon my French, is just dumb. It's just dumb. That's not what you do, and yet that's what the National Retirement Risk Index does. And apparently people on YouTube who don't know how to do basic research do the same thing. This guy on YouTube, he quotes Andy Biggs. I think he mispronounced his name too. I was like, oh. He says, well, Andy says, retirees are doing fine in retirement. My own anecdotal evidence says otherwise. Like, oh. He said to the Wall Street Journal, it's like guys who read The Economist. I read The Economist. I'm like, okay, I'll put you in the children's section then. My goodness. Look, I'm not saying Andy Biggs is right. I mean, he is. I'm not saying just because he wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal that makes him right. What I'm saying is that unlike the naysayers with their anecdotal evidence, Andy Biggs has absolutely evidence you can look at, empirical evidence. Now, you can argue all day long that the empirical evidence isn't correct. Maybe Bill S. doesn't do studies right. Maybe the Survey for Consumer Finance is wrong. Maybe these longitudinal studies are wrong. You can argue that. But that's just because you want to argue because you don't like how they end up. But I get that. You'd have to make a better case why those surveys are incorrect than just saying, I don't like the results, thus they're wrong. You can argue they're wrong, but I want to hear why. And if the answer is, well, I don't think it's true. That's not good. That's bad. That's bad. Argue the case against it with evidence against it. All right? And just your thought process, it doesn't make sense to you, doesn't mean it's wrong. Just means maybe you need to open up your eyes a little bit. But, again, the National Retirement Risk Index. Have you actually looked at the studies that they did? Have you looked at it? What's it based on? Then this guy said, on top of that, you need $180,000 for health care, according to Fidelity. Dude, I'm like, are we still doing this? Are we still doing this Fidelity study? People need $180,000, they don't have it. Look, I get it. Negativity gets clicks. I get it. I will never have a huge YouTube channel because I'm not negative like that. I mean, I'll be negative if I have to be. Hell, I'm not afraid to be negative like the best of them. I mean, I'm from Maine. I'm Catholic. You know what I'm saying? A Catholic from Maine, not just from Maine, but an island in Maine. A Catholic guy on an island in Maine. Can't get much more negative than that, or pessimistic. But I'm also a seeker of the truth, and the truth says differently than what these fools say. I shouldn't have said fools. What these ignorant people say. That's what I should have said. Ignorant. It just pisses me off, man. I can't stand that. It's like you're basing stuff on headlines on Market Watch. Headlines in, I don't know, Economist Magazine, Wall Street Journal. Maybe you read an Andy Biggs article, but you're like, I dispute that because of my own anecdotal evidence. And you're like, okay, well, bring up some other evidence. Well, the Fidelity study. That would be other evidence to use. And here's a piece of evidence. The evidence is just silly on its face. That's a bit of a snake. Because you're going to say I need $180,000 for health care retirement. How much you need for your property tax retirement? How much you need for food retirement? Transportation. You see how that works? We're going to use a lump sum today to cover future monthly expenses. No one does that except when it comes to health care. And that's why it's silly, because it's just a fear monger. All right. Anyway, the idea that this is truth telling, that over half Americans don't have enough money to retire, says who? Give me the evidence of that. Let's dive into the evidence. And we can pick it apart, or we can't. I'm happy to be wrong. You don't call a minute if I'm wrong. Show me the evidence, though. All right, God bless. What do you thought?